Today, I want to talk about SWOT analysis. I'm doing this particularly for students of strategic management and colleagues who teach strategic management, strategy formulation, even project management. Now, as a way of introduction, SWOT is a strategic planning technique or tool used to help people or organizations to identify the strengths, the weaknesses, the opportunities, and the threats related to whatever goal or project you want to achieve. SWOT, as a planning tool, is designed for use in the preliminary stages of decision-making. I would say any decision-making process. The same SWOT can actually be used to evaluate the strategic positions of an organization, indeed even of an individual. SWOT analysis is one of the most common used strategies or strategic planning techniques in business. However, it is also one of the most misunderstood techniques. Virtually every strategic plan that I've looked at, whether non-profit making organizations, for profit making organizations, for institutions, every strategic plan that I've been able to look at has not performed SWOT to the letter. Many simply end up at listing the elements of SWOT. This is unfortunate. I hope I'm going to make a contribution towards that. But now, let's start from the beginning. Some very brief historical perspective for SWOT. It never started as SWOT. It actually started as SOFT. Let's go through it. In the 1940s, there was growth of corporate bodies, both in size and in complexity. And therefore, decision-making and control challenges emerged and started growing. Then in 1949, corporate planning was devised in the USA. Corporate planning. Because of the growth of corporate complexity, now corporate planning was born. 1949. In 1960, all Fortune 500 companies had a corporate planning manager. But in the 1960s, a unanimous opinion of corporate planning was not working. Therefore, in 1960, research at Stanford University, USA was undertaken. And the solution, Albert Humphrey developed SWOT analysis technique now to address the complexity of corporate planning. So the SWOT was satisfactory things presently, opportunities in the future, faults in the present time, and the threats in the future. So those were the elements that were analyzed to see how we can ease the complexity of corporate planning. So we look at what are we doing satisfactorily currently, satisfactory things at present. And then what opportunities are there in the future? And again, what mistakes, faults are we doing at the present time? And finally, what threats might come in the future? Now, that analysis helped corporate planning, and therefore the tool was SWOT. But in 1964, at a conference in Zurich, two people, Ulrich and Orr, presented SWOT and changed the F to a W, and then interchanged it with the O, and they created SWOT. So today, any growth-oriented organization, take it even a family, a religious organization, a business, or any other of any size, indeed even individuals, need to analyze their internal strengths, the S, and the weaknesses, the W, plus the opportunities, external, and the threats. And you see now we are creating the SWOT. And when you do that, you gain an insight into the forces that you are not in control, and indeed those that you are in control. And when you analyze those, you now get to design strategies to move forward. I'm saying SWOT is crucial for strategic planning. And here is a typical strategic planning process. A typical strategic planning process starts with a vision, a mission, and then goals. Having done that, there is an examination of the external environment, and then an examination of the internal environment. And those two examinations create a SWOT analysis. And out of the SWOT analysis, strategies to achieve the goals are then described. And then an implementation plan is put in place, and implementation and monitoring takes place. So you see, strategic planning, SWOT is a very crucial aspect. And when we talk of external environment, we're talking of the customers out there, the competitors, the suppliers, society, economics, politics, technology, media, and all that. And when we talk of internal, we're talking of human resources, finances, corporate culture, corporate image, organizational structure, fiscal assets, and so on and so forth. You can see that here external are beyond the direct control of the organization. They are out there in the environment. There could be negative or positive aspects out there, but the internal are here inside the organization, things that the organization can actually control. Now, what are the key functions of SWOT? One is to identify and analyze strengths within the business and indeed even family. Two, to identify and analyze weaknesses within, again, the business or family. Three, to identify and analyze businesses, even personal opportunities. And lastly, to identify and analyze threats. They could be organizational threats or even personal threats. So those are the basic, the irreducible minimum of the functions of SWOT. However, most importantly, SWOT must help or helps to formulate strategies. Every organization needs a strategy for success. With the help of SWOT, the various angles in respect to strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats can be zeroed in, and the strategies with respect to the organization could be formed. In other words, the purpose of a SWOT analysis is to be able to design strategies out of that analysis. And this is what is largely missed. When we just list the elements of SWOT and we don't go a step further, it is tricky getting strategies out of our analysis. But hold on. What is a strategy? We're looking for strategies. What is a strategy? The word strategy has origin in the army. Strategy comes from the Greek strategia, for generalism or generalship. In the military, strategy often refers to maneuvering troops into position before the enemy is actually engaged. So before you engage the enemy, we maneuver the troops, we lay down the paths to the enemy and all. Now that is when strategy was born and used. We are told that the father of modern strategic study, Carl von Clausewitz, defined military strategy as the employment of battles to gain the end of war. Lyndall Hart's definition put less emphasis on battles, defining strategy as the art of distributing and applying military means to fulfill the ends of policy. So you can see what strategy gets its origin from the army. We can have more definitions. Strategy, a plan of action or a policy designed to achieve a major or overall aim. Strategy. Strategy is about deciding where you want to go and how you mean to get there. A strategy is a declaration of the intent. This is what we want to do, and this is how we intend to do it. So it's like setting the end and the means to that end. That is strategy. Now, SWOT has been presented in a number of formats. Let me look at a few of them. In the 1960s, that is how SWOT was generally presented. You just list your strengths here, your weaknesses, your opportunities, and your threats, and you end there. No further analysis. We have identified our strength and we present in that format. In the 1960s and 1970s, a format like almost now matrix. We write strength here, weaknesses there, opportunities there, and threats there. And again, we end there. In the 1970s, 1980s, this format was common. In 1970s, 1980s, we started saying that the positive, the blue, the negative, the red, these ones are internal, these ones are external, and we mention our strength here, our weaknesses here, opportunities and threats. And again, we end there. But to be meaningful, SWOT must be used to generate strategies. And this is the elephant in the room, if you like. These commonly used formats, like I've shown, are not helpful when it comes to designing comprehensive strategies. And I've said, to be helpful, SWOT should be presented to allow for generation of maxi or SO strategies mini-maxi or WO strategies, max-mini or ST strategies, and mini-mini or W2 strategies. So in the 1980s, 1990s to date, a strategy generating format was developed where we now have, these are the strengths. Can see a 3x3 matrix. These are the strengths, these are the weaknesses, and they are internal. These are opportunities or options that we can grab in the external environment. These are the threats in the external environment. And here now we have created a matrix where we can now compare, merge the strengths and the opportunities to generate what I've already said. Max strategies that maximize options and the strengths. Here now we are able to merge the internal and external and minimize, max-mini strategies that minimize the weaknesses and maximize the options. And here now when we compare the strengths and the threats, we have max-mini strategies that maximize the strengths and minimize the threats. And last, now we have both negatives, weaknesses, and the threats. We want to minimize both of them. They minimize both the threats and the weakness. You can see now, this format is a little more helpful, or indeed more helpful, than the previous listing only. Now, let's now do this useful SWOT. The basic SWOT analysis steps. I have 5. You set the objective, you do the internal analysis, you do the external analysis, then you construct a SWOT matrix, and from the SWOT matrix, you generate strategies. Yes, objective. Set your objective. The objective must be SMART, specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely. Goal, you're saying, so what do you want to do? A specific goal. How will you know when you have reached it? It must be measurable. Is it in your power to accomplish it? Is it achievable? Don't build castles in the air. Can you realistically achieve it? Is it realistic? And finally, when exactly do you want to accomplish it? Timely. So, having done that, then you do your strengths and weaknesses. Those are the strengths. Those are the weaknesses. Step 3, you go now the opportunities and the threats. Those are the opportunities. Thumbs up. And those are the threats stopping you. And then we construct our matrix. SWOT matrix with strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And then we create opportunity now to get the strategies. And then we generate our strategies like we have already said. Weaknesses, strengths, interchange. WT strategies, ST strategies, WO strategies, SO strategies. You can see that I've simply interchanged the strengths. Instead of bringing this position, I've put them there, but the matching remains the same. Strengths and the threats is ST. Strengths and opportunity SO. So now, we have seen the basic SWOT analysis steps. We are saying it all starts with the situation analysis. You have your objective, you have want to achieve. If you are a student, you want to achieve your first class honors at the end of the 4 years. If you are a retiree, you want to go and get a job after you retire. If you are a corporate body, you want to achieve your vision and mission. So it all starts with the situation analysis. The internal analysis, the external analysis. And we're saying the process of identifying and evaluating existing internal and external elements that may impact on an organization's ability to achieve its objective is what is the SWOT analysis. I mean, the situation analysis. And you can see the internal analysis gives us the weaknesses and the strengths. And the external analysis gives us the opportunities and the threats. There they are. And we have generated our SWOT analysis. SWOT. The external factors, opportunities, and the threats. Technology, if technology can be either positive or negative to you. Competition. Competition is normally a threat. Economics. If it's favorable economic conditions, then it's an opportunity. If it's a bad economic conditions, political, legal, social trends, those are outside. The internal factors, the strengths and the weaknesses, finances, technical, competition, position. If you are competitive yourself, then human resource, product line and all that. The internal analysis. We're talking of resources, organizational capability, core competencies, distinctive, all this. We analyze to look at them. The external, the opportunities and the threats, political, economic, social, technological. If the politics is good for us, that's an opportunity. If it is bad politics, like the late president of the Republic of Kenya, who was said in Swahili, siasa mbaya, maisha mbaya. He says bad politics leads to bad life. So politics, if it's favorable, then it's an opportunity. If it's unfavorable, and all the rest. I want to repeat that SWOT analysis must lead to strategy formulation. I want to repeat, an organization and even you as an individual, you have a vision, mission, and then we do the internal strengths and weaknesses, and then we do the external opportunities, and all those are pointing now to the SWOT. And once we get the SWOT analysis, we can now generate appropriate strategies. So our strategies that we're going to implement in any strategic plan must be generated from our SWOT analysis. And then what do we do with the strength, weakness, opportunities, and threats? We have done the analysis. Weaknesses, we put in place strategies to resolve them, to reduce them. Strengths, we build on them, we enhance them. Opportunity, we exploit them, we expand them. Threats, we avoid them, we thwart them. This is what we do with them. And then we construct our SWOT matrix, which will be now strengths, all the strengths listed here, internal. Weaknesses, all the weaknesses listed here. Opportunities, which are external, all listed here. And then we have now generated what we call the SO, WO, SW, and W2 strategies. What you have seen is therefore a 3x3 matrix which has the strengths, the weaknesses, we have listed them, strength 1, strength 2, up to 5 if you want, all that. And then S and O match strategies, then we list strategies generated from the matching of those two. Weaknesses, opportunities, strategies that we match this and this. Strength and threats, ST. Weaknesses and threats. Now, this is a more useful presentation of your SWOT because it helps you merge and generate realistic. And then after having done that, we now match the SWOT elements. Internal analysis, strengths and weaknesses. External analysis, opportunities and threats. When we take opportunities and strengths, we generate the max strategies. When we take opportunities and weaknesses, we generate min-max strategies. When we take threats and strengths, max-mini. And when we get threats and weaknesses, we generate mini-max strategies. And those are the strategies that shape the future. Because you have generated these strategies from within the organization and tapping the current opportunities and the current threats, and probably even extrapolated it. Those are the strategies that will match your future. So we are saying the implied strategies, I cannot tire repeating all this. Strength, weaknesses, threats, opportunities, of course, internal, these are internal factors, and of course, these are external factors, and therefore, here we are. These are what sometimes we call the low-hanging fruits. The offensive, go on the offensive, because you have your strengths. You have the opportunities are there. Go ahead. Here, corrective, take corrective measures. Strengthen your weaknesses. Because you have the weaknesses, but use the opportunities to take. And here you defend your position. Cope with the threats. Use your strengths to defend yourself against the threats. And here now, these are survival tactics. You have too many weaknesses. You have too many threats. How do you survive? So we call this one survival tactics. So, the critical questions in SWOT. The critical questions in SWOT. For the weaknesses, what does the organization need to do to overcome the identified weaknesses in order to take advantage of the opportunities? What actions can be taken to minimize the weaknesses using the identified opportunities? For strength, and how can organization use its strengths to take advantage of the available opportunities? Which strengths can be used to maximize opportunities? The ST, how can the organization use its strengths to overcome the threats that we have identified? How can the strength be used to minimize the threats? And finally, how will the organization minimize its weaknesses to overcome the identified threats? How can weaknesses be minimized and threats be avoided or coped with? Those are now the brainstorming issues. And normally when you are doing SWOT analysis, you are not doing alone. You are doing in workshop. We are doing with the members of the organization. Then you see what can we do, how can we do it, and all that. So that members of the organization own the strategic plan. I've been in cases, including my own university, where the strategic plan is done by a consultant or even done by a clique, a group of staff, and then it's just brought for consumption. Implementation normally becomes difficult. So again, just to repeat, the SWOT. The SO strategies derived from the S and the O. The WO strategy derived from the W and the O. And then the WT derived from the W and the S. And finally ST. So we are merging those to create O, those and those to create the SWOT strategies.
Continue.
So, the critical strategies in SWOT. There they are. I'm repeating what I've said, but in a different format so that it sticks, so that you can internalize it. Those are the ones. The critical strategies in SWOT again. W-O, W and O. Minimizing the internal weaknesses by taking maximum advantage of external opportunities. Hence the title Minimaxing. Rowe and others in 1994 called this searching. SO, making maximum use of the internal strengths to grab maximum external opportunities. Hence the name Maximaxing. And Rowe, Mason and others in 1994 called this exploitation. ST, making maximum use of internal strengths to minimize the external threats, hence the name Maximini. And the Rowe and others called it confrontation. And finally, minimizing both the internal weaknesses and external threats, hence the title Mini-Mini. And Rowe and others called it avoidance. Look at it from another angle. Strengths, S-O-S-T. Weaknesses, W-O-W-T. Opportunities, the S-O, the W-O. And the threats, the S-T and the W-T. And here we are, using of internal strengths to exploit external opportunities, use of internal strengths to avoid or minimize the impact of external threats, overcoming external weaknesses by exploiting external opportunities, overcoming internal weaknesses and minimizing external threats. So, in summary, we're saying internal environment analysis, external environment analysis, the internal deals with the strengths and the weaknesses, the external deals with opportunities and threats, and this is a SWOT, summary of the SWOT. We capitalize on strengths, we mitigate the weaknesses, we exploit the opportunities, and we avoid the threats. So in summary, that is what SWOT analysis is. Now, here are some hypothetical elements of SWOT. Strong man, this is strength, weaknesses, opportunities, fruits to, and then the threats. Maybe this company has got manufacturing efficiency, skilled workforce, good market share, strong financing, superior reputation. Those will be strengths. Weaknesses, maybe outdated facilities, inadequate R&D, obsolete technologies, weak management, past planning failures. Those are weaknesses. Opportunities, possibility of new markets emerging up. Strong economy, weak market rivals, weak competition if you want, emerging technologies, growth of existing market. Those will be opportunities. And the threats will be new competitors coming on board, shortage of resources, changing market tastes, new regulations, substitute technologies. So, substitute products. Again, that's competition. So this is a hypothetical SWOT element. We can now translate them into action. Again, hypothetically. We have them there, what we have already, strength that we have said, the weakness that we have said, the opportunities that we have said, and the threats. So now, we can use them to generate our strategies. Like if you look at weakness number 4, weak management, weakness number 5, past planning failures, and then we have opportunity number 3, strong consultancies. Then you say, invest in management and planning training. This one will address the weak management and the planning failures. because we are using an opportunity consultant. W3, S4, W3, which is obsolete technology, S4, strong financing, and opportunity 4, emerging technologies. Invest in new technologies. Strength 1, 2, 4, 1, 2, 4, and opportunity 1, invest in new market development. Strength 2, 4, 5, 2, 4, 5, and opportunity 3 and 4, employ new technology for market penetration. Strength 1 to 5, all these strengths. Threat 1 to 5, invest in R&D. And all these weaknesses, all these threats, may be planned for mergers. You can see that every strategy proposed here is anchored on either internal strength, internal weaknesses, and the existing opportunities, and therefore it is not far-fetched. And I captured a past SWOT analysis of Toyota. It came from that link. Toyota looked at their strengths: the world's largest vehicle producer, quality, durability, and reliability, the world's best-selling hybrid car, strong management philosophy, 16% of the US market share, demand for Camry sedans and Corolla, innovative multipurpose vehicle, global production facilities. All that were within Toyota when they were doing that SWOT analysis. But they had weaknesses. Globally, recall campaigns. There was a time globally their cars were being recalled because of one mistake or another. Criticized as foreign importer. Wherever they were operating, they had those criticism. Badly hit by the financial crisis, its annual loss in 70 years. That is at the time they were doing this SWOT analysis. All these weaknesses, they listed them. Then they listed opportunities. Joint ventures with French motoring, decreased interest rates on automobile loans in India, changing customers' preferences, related and unrelated diversification, economic growth in India, government of China reduced automotive taxes. All these became as opportunities that Toyota wanted to grab. Then there were threats: market saturation and forceful competitive pressures, competition offering significant discounts, increasing maintenance and oil costs, impact of fluctuations in foreign currency, environmental regulations. All these. Now, when they have now after listing their strengths, their weaknesses, their opportunities and threats, they were now in a position to set their strategies, SO, WO, ST, and you can see now here, when they looked at the opportunity number 1, joint ventures, strength number 1, largest vehicle producer, strength number 2, quality, durability, and reliability, and strength number 3, they set up a strategy to increase presence in France by offering cost-efficient product. And then they started implementing that strategy because they are now addressing, look at this one. Opportunity number 2, decreasing interest rates. Opportunity number 3, changing customers' preferences. Opportunity number 5 up to number 6. And then the strength number 1, largest vehicle manufacturer. Strength number 2, quality, durability, and others. And then they say penetrating markets by offering customer-oriented products. So Toyota started investing in customer-oriented, customer-centric, if you want. So every strategy that Toyota was implementing was based on the analysis of the SWOT. What are we saying? That when you do your SWOT analysis well, your strategic plan would not fail. But when you just list, these are our strengths, these are our weaknesses, and you don't match them, you are likely not to implement. And that probably explains why many strategic plans fail. Because the SWOT analysis and the implementation matrix don't rhyme. They are not working together. We have set up strategies that are not anchored on the SWOT analysis. And I hope that I have made a contribution in terms of strategic planning, strategic management, and the use of this tool, SWOT analysis. I want to thank you for listening. I want to say asante sana, and I want to say bye-bye for now.